Please hang up and try again.
Welcome to episode 2 of Blown Pixel TV. It is a glorious 22nd of January. I am T-Rave, joined by my companion in crime, Cody Beasley. You can talk, Cody.
Oh, yes, I do have that ability. Hello. How about that? That's all you get.
That's all you get. Blown Pixel TV is discussing technology, startups, and culture with myself and Cody, obviously. And I think first off, let me just say to everyone, this is episode 2, technically 3. We have a pilot in there. I'm amazed by how many people have actually kind of listened to this or kind of joined us on the inaugural shipping of this podcast.
These poor people don't have anything else to do.
They really don't. I've had a few fellow coworkers come up to me and be like, "Oh wow, I watched it." Mostly they say, "Wow, the video looks really great." They never say like, "Oh wow, that was really informative." They're like, "Oh, it looks really great." I'm like,
"No,
we're using
is shit." It's just. This is what sells T-Rave. It's our smiling faces.
It's the quality of
else.
video, not the quantity of words that come out of our mouths. But no, seriously, thank you everyone for joining us on our Facebook page, as well as watching the episodes, obviously. So yeah, that's really cool. Episode 2 on its way, with already a small amount of people watching. So I don't know. I thought that was cool. Maybe not.
So
maybe you don't think so.
You ready to do the part where we figure out, what's going on in our neck of the woods?
Yeah, absolutely, because that goes swimmingly every week.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I don't know anything. I'm too busy making Blown Pixel to actually talk to the community.
So, Cody, what is happening in Kansas City?
So, things that are happening in Kansas City. I have noticed there's way more buildings that are coming up. It seems like almost every week you're seeing a new thing get announced along kind of Main Street, the streetcar. I think to date there's something like, I think there's over 30 new business buildings that are being renovated in anticipation for all the new residential that's being built out, and then the streetcar and the kind of this influx into downtown. So it's a really exciting time in Kansas City in the urban core, and you're seeing a lot of people get excited about that. So it's amazing. It's quite boisterous. It's quite happy. So yeah,
it's really awesome what's happening in Kansas City. As someone that used to live there and kind of moved away, as a lot of those initiatives started kind of actually like physically building, not talking, or city meetings. It's really cool, especially with the visits. Seeing what has happened construction-wise downtown, because there is a ton of stuff happening. Very cool.
Yeah, that's the one downside is like everything is being like destroyed or renovated or built from the ground up. So it's kind of a war zone right now, but a lot of folks are getting excited about it.
Yeah. So very awesome. I guess I'm in your spot now.
Yes.
Not sure what's going on in Omaha. Other than I know there is something happening. I tried to look it up real quick. It's something talk. It's an event basically that I think discusses startups, or at least local businesses. They are actually having they're traveling now between different startups and businesses within Omaha, and it's usually at the Chamber of Commerce or Mastercraft, which is a huge kind of hub for startups and crafters and photographers here in Omaha, in the downtown area. They're actually taking this event on the road to like kind of do open houses in startups. That's actually the first one is kicking off at my place of employment, selfishly saying that, at Flywheel, next Thursday. And so if you are in Omaha, I'll find the link to that event. I feel stupid for not knowing more about it, especially since it's going to be in our office. But it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, there will be people here. You should hang out. We'll probably buy beer.
It's just like if you build it, they'll come kind of thing.
Yeah,
they don't need to know any details. They'll just show up.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of entrepreneur based or focused people. So that'll be interesting. I'll find the actual info. Again, terrible announcement. I did that last week. We won't even go into it. We need to do more research. I need to do more research. But anyway, let's move on. Let's get over my faults.
One more thing. Things that I should have talked about too is, of course, Functional. And so, yes, Functional is a small organization, meetup-ish group that I run in Kansas City. And every Monday, we go to a little jazz club called the Green Lady downtown. And we kick back. It's called Mellow Mondays. And so anyone here in Kansas City, 9 o'clock every Monday at the Green Lady, show up. Always lively conversation. And there's some more formal events going on with Functional that I'll announce here in the next couple episodes. So yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Yes, that's always a fun time, especially because Green Lady is such an amazing lounge or venue to hold it in. So very, very exciting always for that.
All right, let's get this thing rolling, T-Rave.
Let's get it going.
You want to start, or do I want to start?
How about you start? I kind of numbered stuff on our sheet, our script.
Yes,
we actually have a script to maybe kind of cohesively work through this show. So go ahead and go for it.
Okay, so one thing that I found out, I think it was today. I don't remember. I woke up to this news. And, the classic King Tut. You heard a little bit about this, right?
Of course.
The classic King Tut burial mask has been damaged. And...
it's kind of funny, but it's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. It's a fiasco, is what it is, and so it's been damaged. Apparently, this thing was being cleaned, if I understand it correctly, and I think they just dropped it or something. It snapped the beard off, and that's not even the crazy part of this story.
That's like just the beginning of the craziness.
This is the tone setter of the situation, that whoever picked this off the floor was like, oh shit, we have to get this back up and no one can find out about it. So this is the horrifying thing. They actually tried to glue it back. Like the fucking thing. And so now it's not flush against it. There's like Gorilla Glue kind of like spilling away from it. And apparently they got some glue like on the mask as well and used a spatula to like try to get the glue off. And apparently they've also damaged the part of the mask that just had the glue on it. And no one's taking responsibility for this. Like everyone's careers are on the line for this.
Well, and I found it funny. So this fiasco started in October, I believe, is when they first tried to clean it.
Oh.
Yeah.
This has been a thing?
Oh, this has been a thing. And so I believe it's HuffPost that we're pulling this from. But
yeah.
Anyway, the beard snaps off. They put epoxy on it, starts to leak. They tried to clean that, damage it, then scuff up the thing, and it's going down, and finally they're like, someone found out. They're like, why the hell does this look like there's a big ass gap where the beard is? And so it's a whole thing. It sucks. I find it funny in the only way possible to find it funny is what were you doing?
Okay, so I've seen the pictures of this, and while this was definitely mishandled in almost every way possible, it's not bad, visually. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like that, and that's almost the thing is, it survived this long. It's just that's where it's like, I mean, so it gets
some jackass drops it on the ground.
Yeah, and that person just they turned in their resignation and they're in a cave somewhere because they're like, nope, I don't know.
That's awful. Can you imagine the horror as you drop this thing? Can you and then you're and everyone around you is like.
It's that silence in the room that you're like, what would you do?
This is what you do as a kid when you break a vase. That's what they did.
And they covered it up well. So that's unfortunate, especially for such an artifact like that.
It's kind of
things
ridiculous. Like, you don't hear about someone. I guess there was the Jesus painting that the woman
like
redid.
the Mona Lisa disappeared for a while, right? Like,
yeah,
you know.
but it's like you're in the Louvre and you kind of like stumble into a painting with a knife and just like it's crazy. You don't hear about that anywhere near enough.
No, not at all. So, sorry, King Tut, wherever you are in the afterlife.
16 years old, still angsty.
So, all right. So yeah, sorry, King Tut. Sorry. So moving on. This is kind of awesome for me because I've been waiting for this. Plex Media Server app comes to PlayStation 3 and 4. Now, if you're not familiar with Plex, it is a media server that you set up, you host. It's basically a local server that you load movies into, and you can stream to Android, iOS, your smart TVs, everything. And so I've been on a binge of taking my physical media, that's digital media, Blu-ray and DVDs, putting it in. It finds the metadata really seamlessly, puts the artwork, trailers to it. It's amazing. You can stream it anywhere. It's finally come to PS3 and PS4. Now, a few months ago, they announced that it was coming to PS3 and 4. However, it was not in America. And so everyone was like, what the hell? Well, I have a PS3. And I didn't realize the lack of capability of the PS3 and PS4 these days. So
Yes.
It doesn't have like a built-in DNLA streaming service. And so Sony announces this, and everyone just is like, finally, but why is it a third-party app that you have to pay for? Because only subscribers to Plex can get the app. And PS3 and PS4 don't have a built-in way to basically stream local media files to the device over the DNLA.
That's kind of shitty. Like, I mean, half the reason you buy a PlayStation is so that you can use it as an entertainment, device, right? I mean, even my TV can hook into. Actually, my TV can hook into my NOS. Like, it actually has, like, my device's manufacturer has their own app on my smart TV. Like, that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, here, T-Rave, at some level, I don't care about Plus. I just want you to be able to play Destiny with me on my PlayStation 4. Okay? That's really what I want to see Sony do.
Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. You touched directly on it with all these smart TVs and everything. I honestly flash back to almost a decade ago when PlayStation 3 was coming out. They actually had a lot of availability to play media, and then it was like one of the first devices to have Blu-ray in the living room. This is when Blu-ray and HD DVD, nothing was solid. Like, that was a war still. Sony, because it's Sony, got Blu-ray to basically be finalized as the standard. But I think Sony blew it in so many. They've been blowing a lot of things lately, like in the last decade. What I'm saying, and the media services, like you could have ruled the living room, and I guess I'll say it, like, I'm not a big fan of Xbox, but with the Xbox One connectivity to everything, it's pretty awesome. They're really taking that over, and that was actually really to kick us off into basically the next 10 minutes of us talking about different Microsoft stuff.
Yeah. Okay, now, before we get into Microsoft stuff, I feel like our favorite person, our favorite innovator, has to have his due. So, of course, our segment here, anytime our friend Elon Musk, who of course is, on our speed dial, he's in my circle.
Great contributor to this podcast.
Yeah, he's a big sponsor. He's not, but I think we should make a segment called "In Musk We Trust." In Musk We Trust, of course.
I like it.
Articulating it. And so Musk, he had another big piece of news again. Like every week, this guy, man, come on, leave some for the rest of the world, right? So Google and Fidelity have invested. What is it? $1 billion?
I believe you're correct with that's the right number. $1
billion into SpaceX. Now, to give you kind of a an idea of how much that is, they essentially have just gotten a 10% ownership in SpaceX by doing this. So simple math would tell you it's valued around, or at least there's 10 billion sunk in it, or that's valuation. So the cool thing is not only the investment, but Musk's new moonshot is to essentially create internet through satellites. We've seen some folks try to do some stuff like this with Google Loon project using the weather balloons and that sort of stuff. But while Musk wants to do it on Earth, as he wants to extend it to other planets and Mars, in fact, so that by the time we actually have a good colonization of Mars, we will then be able to check our Reddits and watch Blown Pixel and everything else. Probably very slow, but apparently, vacuum, at least it'll move a little bit. It's still stuck with the speed of light and all that stuff.
I want to be part of the colony, the world that reverts almost back to dial-up speeds, and you're like, and then one day you get like gigabit speeds on Mars, and you're like, and we can relive what we're living now, but on Mars.
There's connectivity. I think on Earth we have, I think, a couple lines that'll do it like close to a terabyte or a petabyte of data on some private networks. So at some level, my Google Fiber, it's like, it's not a petabyte of data a second. And maybe when we get a fiber, literally, I mean, Google's part of this, right? So Google Fiber might actually be a Mars thing. Yeah. I'm excited for that. He's he's hyper looped into my heart.
Well put.
Yes.
So technology with Elon Musk is expanding into Google, and where would it be fair if we didn't talk about Microsoft?
So first off, it's always fair to not talk about Microsoft, but that might be changing. Be changing.
And that's the part. Like, it's funny that both of us found articles about Windows stuff, Microsoft stuff that's coming out that kind of intriguing, at least on a sense of like, all right, Microsoft. And so I'll jump into mine, which is the new browser called Spartan that they're working on for Windows 10. Windows 10 had a big event or had kind of like a keynote, I believe, this last week. Spartan is the new browser, and now checking over like the video, it's about a 5.5-minute video on The Verge. It's really interesting to see where they are taking this, because obviously they're not going to recreate Internet Explorer, at least they don't want to, and so this browser is very much based on the content, interacting with the content as well. And so it's very interesting how the demoer shows off this new browser. Basically, like, I could send you a web page and say, hey, Cody, check this out, and I could start circling, and you could write notes on it and like different things, and it's all interaction with the content, as well as like there's a reader mode where it kind of like strips out everything and makes it very very vertical and very easy to read the articles that you might be reading. So it's interesting at their approach at this, very content centric with the interaction and focus on it. And so
yeah, I mean, up until now we all hate Internet Explorer, right? Like
it's the laughing stock.
We've jumped off of that ship as we watched it sinking years ago. And so like we like, as developers, we just want Internet Explorer to be what's called an evergreen browser. It's a browser that updates itself. It's not locked down. It's something that, embraces WebKit or whatever it is. They're getting very close to that. This is very exciting to see them take the next step into the modern web. Not like Microsoft hates Internet Explorer almost as much as we do, right? Like they're so upset that people like still use this, and they're like, come on guys, like they had a funeral for this. They had like a Mardi Gras grade funeral. Like, it was a big to-do. Yeah, the death of Internet Explorer 6. So I'm glad to finally see them put out something. Now, we don't know a lot about the details on kind of the innards of this.
Yeah, and really what they said is some of the first releases of Windows 10 won't even have it. They're really going after like making it not a letdown. They want to release it very solid.
Right.
And it's a big play to really tap into Microsoft and and some of their features. And it's interesting, because Google made that play a few years ago, introducing Chromebooks, Android devices. Spartan will be a Windows browser as well, a Windows Phone browser.
It's their unification strategy that people have been screaming about for years now, and it's why did you try to make this tablet its own? Now, I get it, Apple did this too, right? So they used iOS, and then they have OS X, and those are kind of separate worlds. But when Microsoft did it, they kind of bastardized the whole thing.
Yes, they tried to tie things together. If I was in the corporate world in the sense of like having to use Windows devices, I don't feel like I'd be, if we're up to date, with this stuff, I honestly wouldn't complain that much, I don't think, with some of the collaboration tools.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Still not getting this guy.
Yeah, but that's because we have sense and we're Unix guys, so, I mean,
Of course. So, tell us about the other wanderings of Microsoft.
Yes, I'm super excited about this. So, the thing that people don't realize, even if you don't like Microsoft as of late, in the last couple decades or so, is that
decades.
Microsoft...
Computing is not that old, and you just said decades. Basically, since the creation of Windows or Microsoft, you haven't liked it.
But Microsoft research has always been amazing. It's this little secret of Microsoft that they created the hyperlapse. They've done amazing stuff. So one of the things that you're finally seeing is the research arm of Microsoft is making some really cool stuff. And so the latest is what's called the HoloLens. And so you're starting to see Oculus Rift and some of the augmentative reality platforms come out. And this is Microsoft's one. And it kind of took the world by storm. No one was expecting this thing. There was no leaks on it from what I understand. And it was hey, here's Spartan. Here's Windows 10. Oh, guess what? This thing changes the future. So let's take a look at the video real quick.
Go for it.
Just to see what it looks like. And it's amazing. I'm actually kind of excited, especially after the acquisition of Minecraft. You'll see that here in a second.
Look around. Technology is all around us. We use it in every aspect of our lives. It enables us to do amazing things. But what if we could go further? What if we could go beyond the screen? Where your digital world is blended with your real world. Now we can. This is the world with holograms. What will they enable us to do? New ways to visualize our work.
I have an idea for the fuel tank.
New ways to share ideas with each other.
How are things going your end?
I just put the images in OneDrive.
Perfect.
More immersive ways to play. New ways to teach and learn.
So put the new trap in the place of the old one.
Now what?
And tighten here and here.
New ways to collaborate and explore the places we've never been.
Look at this formation. Let's take a closer look.
And new ways to create the things we imagine. Because when you change the way you see the world, you can change the world you see. This is Microsoft HoloLens.
It's always Imagine Dragons. No matter what. It doesn't matter. It's always Imagine Dragons. So there you go. That's
so
pretty
cool.
awesome, right?
I had not heard of it. I was obviously trying to brush up on some of the articles we were talking about, and I watched that video and I was like, all right, which is funny because I about added another article tonight about Oculus Rift's second kind of version released probably about a month ago, and this kind of segments where we can kind of talk about both. But yeah,
augmented reality platform. So this is very different than what I mean. Essentially, it's Google Glass has layers to it, but it doesn't augment reality. Oculus Rift doesn't augment reality as much because it's a kind of it's a universe within the glasses themselves. It's immersive, but it's not augmentative. And we've seen a ton of like AR stuff and augmented reality stuff within phones. So you use that kind of as the lens and look around. But this kind of came out of like left field. Like I was shocked.
Where were they storing this? Like
I don't know. Like, so, I'm a product designer, and so, I'm in the advanced fab and things like that, and so when I can see that I can actually finally, pick objects up, manipulate them in space, and then push that out into, a 3D printer or whatever it is, or even if I just want to, like the Mars rover thing, like, so to be able to extend, like, half of your house into another world, or being able to actually crawl through Minecraft. So obviously they've made a good product video, right? It's shown the vision of what this platform can offer, and that's very exciting. In the Wired article, they actually talked about, hands-on. So they actually had a hands-on demo in this, and they said that it was very impressive. It did a lot of these things, and it did them well, but there's still tons of work, obviously, in the hand gesturing pieces and that. But this solves, or at least it begins to solve, a ton of the problems that you have with augmented reality, and that's super exciting. Again, and that it was like I just had this conversation with some guys about this, about like all the inherent problems that you have to solve to make this a reality, and then the next fucking day Microsoft comes out with these things, and it's
surprise,
amazing.
Like,
right.
So yeah,
so there you go.
Super cool. Okay, we're done with our Microsoft stuff. Good job for piquing the interest of Blown Pixel.
Yes.
For what it's worth. So yeah, the next one up is OnePlus One phone. This is an Android device. I was not aware of this phone. Were you, Cody?
I knew about the Oppa. Which I believe is in this line. I knew that there was some kind of Chinese flagships that were running cyanogen, and this one's kind of been the darling, at least in the current time for that category.
Yeah, so like I was introduced to this phone probably last week. A buddy at work was like, "Oh, hey, some of my friends really like this phone. They got in like on the beta testing." And I was like, "Oh, really cool!" Like, and I started checking it out, and I was like, "Holy crap!" It's like it basically went on sale in America 2 days ago, and this phone is pretty baller when it comes to Android devices. Basically, like a 13 megapixel camera, like the latest Snapdragon, I believe. A 5 megapixel camera on the front. The battery is like 3100 milliamps per hour. I have the Droid Turbo from Verizon, and it's supposed to last like 48 hours on a charge, and like I've ran it to that point, and it's like in the 2000s for milliamp hours. They do a lot of gesture stuff, and that's what's really cool about the Moto devices right now. Moto X, Moto Nexus 6, again, the Droid Turbo that I have, we can kind of gesture and interact with the phone. It's hands-on, but like not like clicking around to get to the camera and stuff. And so this came out of left field, but what's more impressive is it's an unlocked phone. And like the highest model, like the 32 gig, is $350, and so that's where I'm just like, the software part too. You mentioned it. Cyanogen's running on it, which is a modder group for Android, and they've been around for a good long time, and they're a proven group. And it's interesting that they didn't go stock Android. but they went cyanogen, which is, in my opinion, one of the next best things.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, before the Nexus line, you had cyanogen because it was so fragmented. It was an awful experience, and there still is, like, for a power user, cyanogen is still very attractive. So I'm glad to see that pop in. There are rumors actually that the OPA the second version, like the 1+1 or 1+2, sorry, is probably going to hit this year too. So, in fact, if you're looking for flagship Android devices, the Nexus is starting to go down the more expensive route. We don't know what the next successor in that line is. This is a really, really attractive offering.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with all the carriers doing the weird leasing of phones and all that stuff. Like, I like to own my devices outright. And moving to Verizon, it just made more sense to do kind of the month lease thing. But I had a Nexus 4 before that fully paid off, and I like owning my devices. And this is like you're owning it at like a subsidized price of what other carriers do. Your phones are $200-$300. This is brand new, fully outright $350. So pretty awesome.
The hardware is just getting so cheap. I mean,
it's getting cheap and amazing, like very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see $20, $30 phones targeted towards the kind of third world, developing world kind of stuff. So, I mean, the next big stuff is just shoving as many sensors into this thing as you can, just like the phone block stuff that are the ARA project that we talked about, the ATAP and the Tango project. You're going to see, like, our great phones now are going to be just dirt cheap. I mean, that's exactly what this phone's proven.
Yeah.
All right, so I have the next thing. We've totally loaded this episode up with
we really did
news stuff.
I see, and that's the funny thing is, like, oh, hey, Cody, I kind of made the script outline this week, start adding your notes, and you hadn't added anything until this morning.
I hadn't. And in fact, I one-up'd you at the last minute just because I had, like, this piece of news to share.
Well, the conversation went, hey, I got 3 in there, and you're like, well, I got 4. And then I found the 4th one. Anyway, go into your next bit.
So this is kind of a fluff piece. It's not going to take a long time, but I thought it was super interesting. So this is what I want to show you. It's a Coke machine, but guess what? It's a speakeasy. It's in Shanghai. Like, T-Rave, every time we buy a house, if we ever buy a house,
we're buying
a house together? Anything, wherever we live, we want to have secret rooms. I think that's universal, right?
Yeah.
And so this is amazing. Check this out. I mean, look at the club underneath this too. It's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's
like a secret soda shop meets like underground bunker. It's amazing. So I just want to share that. It's great. Good job, Shanghai. You've Shanghaied our minds. I don't know. Is that mean or not?
I don't know, but
something?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw that link earlier in the week too, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It reminds me of there's a hotel in New York City, and it has a burger shop in it, and I forget the name of it, but you literally like go down almost like a coat check, like hall. And then you get to the end and you turn and it's like all plywood and you're like, wow, this was a really nice hotel. And you walk into like this divey, like greasy spoon burger place and it was awesome. It was very awesome. It's almost like Town Topic except for like you kind of have to know where it is. Like Town Topic in Kansas City. I couldn't ever find it again if I tried, but
So it's like How I Met Your Mother. They find this like delicious sandwich shop or whatever, and then they just spend years trying to find it again.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really cool thing. And then to finally finish this off, and I'm not going to go too far into this, but basically the 4chan founder, Christopher Moot Poole, left 4chan, and I'm not a 4chan user or I'm never interested in it, but I didn't know that he created 4chan when he was about 15. So
let's be honest, like 4chan is like the Craigslist of things. Like it's not technically challenging.
You're kind of riding dirty when you get into 4chan. Like Yeah, use protection wisely there.
It's the asshole of the internet.
But I in finding the story, I then found out that I believe the CEO of Reddit is kind of taking a step back as Alexis moves back into a chairman spot or something. Don't know much about that, but it's like two of the big user news generated sites. High ups are stepping down or out. I found it interesting. Only to that fact. I don't care actually past that point. Like,
Plus,
really
Alexis is super cool.
Oh,
So,
Alexis is, yes.
Yeah, he comes to Kansas City every once in a while, and I've had a drink with him before, and a couple times actually. Really cool dude. So go Reddit. Yeah, screw you, 4chan.
All right. So yeah, that's the article pieces. I believe you have something to show and tell. A little segment of the show that we're hoping to share cool things in our personal lives, whether we built them, bought them, or somehow acquired them. I guess is the best way to explain it. I don't know.
Sounds awful, but so I was in this Turkish prison, and this guy had like some extra stuff to sell. But no, so the thing that I want to share is, of course, I'm a big nerd. I'm a man-child, and I buy toys, but my toys are of ridiculous things like Asimo. So do you know about Asimo, T-Rave?
I know very little about it, but I know of your purchase of Asimo.
Yes.
To your life.
He's one of my favorite things that exist in the world. Not the doll itself, but this is actually a small version of a real robot that was made in 2000 by Honda, and now like he sits, like he's articulating, or he is fully articulated, can be articulated. But I want people to know about Asimo because you might find him in your home someday, or as robotics keep moving forward into general purpose robotics, where you don't have to program robots, you just show them how to do tasks, and then they do them very cheap. This may be the face of that revolution. So very recently, Asimo, the latest version of Asimo, visited New York, and I wanted to show that off. He now speaks English instead of Japanese, so that's a plus for me. And apparently he knows sign language now.
All right. Let's see this video.
So let's take a look.
Today, we want to talk about our newest innovation in robotics. I would like to introduce Honda's newest humanoid robot, Asimo.
This demonstration we have here is the longest demonstration that we're doing on this tour. This is the media that really understands robotics, really understands Asimo. Their readers are really going to understand it. We're trying to show as many of the capabilities of Asimo as we can here.
Asimo can now climb fluidly up a set of stairs without stopping, an ability that we are showcasing here for the very first time in the world.
We're also showing the advanced dexterity that Asimo has.
The stuff that seems kind of everyday, like picking up a cup and pouring it and all that, is actually even more exciting in some ways than the running, because to figure out cup, pour, don't crush, keep it balanced, that's pretty exciting. That means they're starting to figure it out.
A part of me feels that it's amazing to be living in a time where science fiction is becoming a little bit of a reality. I was able to shake Asimo's hand, and that was pretty cool. Like, you can't always say every day you get to shake a robot's hand.
We're here at the New York Auto Show to present Asimo to thousands of automotive journalists who have come from all over the world to see the reveals of new automobiles. And these are automotive journalists. They don't usually cover things with 2 legs, they usually cover things with 4 wheels. So it'll be very interesting to see their reaction.
Hopping is an important addition because it speaks to greatly improved balance and stability. These balance and lateral movements mean that Asimo is even closer to being able to interact with people in the real world.
It's the hit of the show. Glad to hear you say that. Did you get that? It's the hit of the show. It's the hit of the show. I'm seeing genuine wonderment and amazement, and that's incredibly encouraging. We want people to understand what Honda's doing. We want people to understand how difficult these technological advances are, and more than anything, we want people to have hope that this kind of technology is real, and when they look at it, they understand that they're seeing the future.
So that's Asimo, and if you look at some of the past stuff, they actually have at the Asimo factory roving Asimos. They just they walk around in the facility, and the cool thing about this is that Asimo has some cool stuff where you'll be having a meeting or whatever, and he'll walk up to you and you'll say you can order a drink from him. Not only can you order a drink from him, 3 or 4 or 5 people can shout a drink at him at the same time. He will get all of the drinks in his memory, and then he will tell you individually to confirm what you've actually asked for. And then he goes and he goes down into the factory or whatever, and he presses the little drink guy, and then he brings you your drink. Like you were just having a meeting, he brings you the drink. So, have you ever seen the movie Robot and Frank, T-Rave?
I have not.
So you should totally check it out. It's basically it's about this old man in the future, and his family gets him this kind of essentially like an Asimo, and they rob banks together, and it's adorable and it's amazing. But this is what this will be. So anyway, I wanted to share my doll. It's kind of like a science action figure, I guess, but it's really a doll, and I'm ashamed of it at some level. But it's also super cool. So screw you. I'm a man child.
I'm not questioning it at all.
Sound like amazing. You were.
No. Not at all. So over to over to my show and tell. I bought this close to a month ago, and it is an astronaut pen. Okay, so it's not amazingly in the sense of Cody, you already have one.
I'm tempted to go run and get mine so that we can
Okay, I'll talk. You go grab it if you want. So basically, the story goes down as I had a best friend in elementary. He went to Florida, went to a space center, and brought back a space pen, and and Cody now has his. And so I basically was all my life I've wanted an astronaut pen. Because they're pressurized to the sense of you can take it underwater, you can write upside down. It's always gonna write. Obviously, take it to space. But right before Christmas, I bought this. I bought it in gold, and it's very classy, very functional because I can keep it in my pocket at all times without it taking up much space. It's small, but then you expand it, and then it's a full pen. Anyway, that's what's made me love life as of late. But it's also a topic of discussion with people because I'm like, oh yeah, I have an astronaut pen, and people are like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, or they're like, oh cool, man, and I'm like, well, do you have a pen on you right now? No. Actually, I refuse to sign receipts at restaurants with their peasant pens. So
no, I always get the joke. It's Americans spent $1 billion making your pen, but the Russians used the pencil. That's mean.
So no. I bought this, and I said the same thing right when I got it because the cosmonaut stylus actually had it on their packaging when I bought it. One of the best styluses, whatever, out there for your iPad or whatever. But they had it on the packaging. I said it out loud, and someone in the office was like, well, T-Rave, graphite explodes or can shard in space. That's why the Americans spent $14 million designing this bad boy. I am holding technology in my hand that will not blow off my hand in particles of stuff.
Yep. Let's face it, the cosmonauts were riding rough. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't shoot people in tin cans into space for scientific experiments, but it seemed like they were running a little more ragged down.
Yeah. It's you know, it's always fun to go to space museums and see the drastic differences between American and you know, former Soviet Union, Russia's like pods. It's like, oh, okay, we're looking for design. Over there, they're like, shove them in a big ball, shoot them up.
Just
when he
send
comes
some
down,
dogs up there first off. Okay.
we'll see what happens. So, anyway, that's my show and tell this week. The favorite device that the second favorite device. I love my Moto 360, but with these two, my life is currently complete.
We're like twinsies now. We just have. Like, are we like an old married couple, but like we match?
We tend to go off each other. I have found. Yeah, I think you're more of an more early adopter than me. I'm just an early adopter, and I usually base it off. Oh, did Cody buy it? Cody, give me a review. Okay.
You have more sense than me, and maybe fiscal responsibility is really what you're saying. And it's accurate. It's 1,000% accurate.
The space pen was on my own accord, and then I found out that not only you, but one of my other best friends carries a space pen with him at all times as well. So that was a fun day.
They're great. I mean, they're great little travel pens. If not, I mean, just so that you can slip them in your pocket. You can write in sub-zero weather and underwater, and you know, because I'm a man of mystery and adventure, and so I need to have my pens keep up for that.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's everything for episode 2 of Blown Pixel. For everyone that's watching, do note that Cody and I tried to record these on Thursday night at 8. And it usually turns into 8:30ish. So if you want to come check out the live recording and, you know, us doing maybe more than what you're seeing in the video, be sure to join us that night. We'll probably open it up more at some point for chat and whatnot. If you'd like to be a guest, or you have you want to be a guest or have topics that Cody and I should talk about, or you found interesting, you can send that at info@blownpixel.tv. We'll get that, and we'll see what we can do. We'll talk to the producers.
And then, you know, we got our Facebook page and our Twitter, and
Absolutely.
if you know us, just send anything our way. We'll get it figured out.
Google Plus, I don't even use it, and we have to use it for Hangouts and some thing, but join us on a circle, I guess?
Yeah, like, no one uses it. I know some scientists and physicists and, like, astrophotography groups that tend to prefer it, but outside of that, I mean, I love the concept of Google Plus. It just never had the traction.
No, it did not. So, thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Blown Pixel.
Please hang up and try again.